But I did kind of want to kick this episode off with a little bit of an icebreaker question. It's been a while since we've done one of these. And the question that came to my mind that I thought might be kind of fun to pose for the group, which is just you, Dylan, is,
I
but
am a group.
I mean, I'm also going to answer it with my own thoughts as well.
Yeah.
But if you were trying to get somebody into the hobby of video games, into gaming,
hmm
but you
hmm
could only use one game to do that, what game would you show them? Like what would the gateway game be? What would be your like best foot
hmm
forward trying to get somebody in? And I know it's really vague because it's like, well, what is this person like? Who is this person? Because
Yeah.
that's going to tailor my question. But I thought I would keep it vague just to kind of see where your
hmm
mind like immediately went to.
Yeah. There are a few different ways that I think about this question. Like, so I'm assuming that somebody who isn't into the video game hobby is also somebody who just like generally hasn't played video games, right? So like there's a part of me that's like, picking a like fantastic game or something like that that I really enjoy, but then also keeping in mind that like I think we've talked about it on the show before. There's a bit of just like we have learned sort of the language of games. We know
Yes.
how controllers work. We know like when I use the right stick, I'm looking around. When I use the left stick, I'm moving. And a lot of that I think we take for granted that people, especially people who aren't into video games, maybe just don't even like don't know. And so I'm of two minds of this question. My first one that I think of is one of those maybe more traditional, like kind of early games. Um, the one that is coming to, and that's not like, oh, they should go play something on like NES. I don't think that that's going to get very many people into the video game hobby in this day and age, honestly. But I think like Animal Crossing is where my mind goes because I feel like there's a lot of people who aren't super like we saw it when it came out.
I
There
was
were
going to
a
say we
bunch of
saw that
people that
happen. Yeah.
yeah, there were a bunch of people that weren't into video games that picked up a Switch in Animal Crossing and fell in love, and that helps teach them how a controller works and that sort of a thing. And then I think there were a ton of like more hardcore gamers like us that wouldn't maybe traditionally play a game like Animal Crossing that got super into it too. So I feel like it had a lot for everybody. So that's one mind that I have. The other mind that I have is just kind of like go play The Witcher 3 or Baldur's Gate 3 on easy mode and just like be blown away by the fact that games can tell stories like this. So those are my two kind of like just play on easy, like an amazing game like Baldur's Gate or The Witcher, or I think the one that I am more leaning to is kind of the Animal Crossing, right? Because that at least gets I think that has something for everybody, and you're at least going to have a Switch at that point and access to Nintendo's whole entire library of cool games. So,
Yeah, I kind of figured Aubrey would go that route as well, like Animal Crossing,
mhm.
and it crossed my mind. I think what I landed on, and I had the benefit of like thinking about this question a little bit throughout the day as I like wrote it down earlier, but
Yeah.
still kind of my initial thought was like blockbuster games, kind of like the big flashy showy games that like people who
hmm
enjoy movies and stuff would be able to kind of connect the dots and be almost like instantly into.
Yeah.
And so I thought about like, God of War and stuff, but ultimately I was like, it's right there. It's Spider-Man. Like the
Mm-hmm.
Insomniac
That's a good one.
Spider-Man game, especially the first one, is just like it looks great. Like the gameplay is super fun and relatively simple. Like you said, there's the language of
Mm-hmm.
video games that would need to be learned as like a baseline. But
Mm-hmm.
when my oldest daughter, was like 3 or 4, I gave her the PlayStation controller and she was able to just kind of navigate and swing around the world within a few
Mm-hmm.
minutes. So like it's not complicated and it's explained pretty like I think pretty well and like at a decent rate through the tutorials that you'll get the hang of it. And again, like you said, just drop it to easy if you want. All the spectacle is still going to be there. It's a character you recognize more than likely from other media. It tells a really, really solid story. It's got a lot of the like video game languagey stuff that you're talking about, of like navigating the world, exploring the map, collectibles. Like it's very video gamey in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like where I ultimately landed on. I think, like you said, Animal Crossing is also a really good choice just because we literally saw that happen during COVID. There were so many people that didn't really play games or whatever that like went out and bought a Switch and bought Animal Crossing. Like my wife was one of them. She plays video games pretty casually. She's been on the show a few times, and it's usually her talking about Animal Crossing and like the Lego games. So I think that Animal Crossing is definitely a really solid direction to take this question as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I may throw this question in our Discord server when this episode comes out to get the community thoughts on this. We didn't do it ahead of time, but we do that sometimes. So if you want to kind of chime in and let us know a game you think would be a good answer to this question, like I said, join our Discord.
Yeah.